Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a really exciting video, and obviously it has to do with books. I'm near my little tiny bookshelf, and one day I hope that it's going to end up growing way more. I probably have like 50 books on here maybe, I don't even know. But basically the bottom is all the books that I've read so far this year, or like a couple from last year. And then up is all the books I still have to read. So there's still many to go. But for this video specifically, we're going to actually be talking about the only books I've ever given a 5 out of 5-star rating. And ironically, there are only 5 books that I've ever given a 5-star rating to. So I'm so excited for this video because obviously they're my favorite books and I get to talk about them and share them with you guys. So we're gonna just get right into it. But if you guys are enjoying my book videos, be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more from me. Also, don't forget to comment down below if you have any other suggestions of book video ideas, or any other video for that matter, because I would love to do them for you guys. Without further ado, let's get into my favorite books. I feel like I should go in the order of how I read these because it just makes more sense in my mind. And the first one I actually read, I don't have the physical copy because I gave it to my boyfriend to borrow. So, or actually I kind of just gave it to him. I'll probably end up getting my own other copy at some point, just so I have the actual physical copy in my life, because it's probably my favorite book, like, of all time. And I will just say now, it is The One by John Mars. I freaking love this book. However, hated the show. Like, I wouldn't give it a 0 out of 10 or anything like that, or a 0 out of 5, but it was just not the same as the book. Like, it was totally different. So if you're gonna watch the one on Netflix, be sure to not really relate it to the book, because it doesn't really have anything to do with the book. So for The One by John Mars, if you're not aware of what The One is about, basically this woman who's a scientist, kind of studies genetics and DNA and all that stuff, realizes that there are specific genes that can actually find your soulmate. So one person has similar like DNA to someone else, and they are soulmates together. And it's kind of like a Tinder online situation where you send in your DNA though, and then they basically can match you up with your perfect person. The only thing obviously is, like, it's not perfect, and that's the point of the book, is that people are in relationships before they send in their DNA, and if they find their soulmate, it kind of like messes up relationships that have already been in place. Or also just like the person that you end up matching with doesn't necessarily, like, it doesn't mean they're necessarily a good person. For an example, I know that a cop in the book actually matches up with a murderer in the book, and they have no, like, he has an idea that she's a cop, but she has zero idea that he's a murderer, and it's just like so thrilling. There are other ones too, like this one girl finds her soulmate overseas in Australia, I believe. She ends up going to visit him, and he's actually on his deathbed, and he does not want to see her, and there's this whole twist with them too, and it's just like really, really good. I'm pretty sure there are 5 different stories, and the one thing I really liked about this book is that it rotates through everyone's stories. So the chapters are really short, and it's like one person's story, next, and then it goes again, and every single chapter ends on a cliffhanger. So yeah, The One is definitely my favorite book probably of all time thus far, and I'm so excited to be reading more John Mars books. I'm pretty sure I only have one right now that I want, or like I want to read more, but I have this book as well from him that my boyfriend actually gifted me, and it is What Lies Between Us. So I'm really excited to read this one too. It's another thriller book. But by the way, The One, like, I don't even know if I would consider it necessarily a thriller. It's kind of like a romance thriller, which I think is like my favorite genre, is when they include some sort of like love romance, but like a twist with like a psychological thriller. And I think that's why I really liked it. So 5 out of 5 for sure, and definitely go check that out. If you haven't, just go do it. Go do it for yourself, because it's really, really good. So the next book, I'm honestly not sure if it's this one or the one after I'm going to be showing, but I read them so close together that I'm just going to start off with, yes, The Silent Patient. This is a book that I believe everyone's probably read at this point. I don't know, but I am just in awe that Alex, I'm gonna pronounce his last name wrong and I'm really sorry, but I'm pretty sure it's Alex Michaelides. This is his first book. Like, he debuted with this book and it is a masterpiece. Like, it's so good. Instead of reading the synopsis, I'm actually just going to tell you what I think about the book because I feel like that makes more sense. So basically, there's this woman who was married to a photographer and everything seemed like it was going really well in their life, and then all of a sudden she shoots him and paints something and then goes mute. Like, she doesn't talk ever again. Even throughout the entire court of trying to figure out what's happening, she doesn't speak, she doesn't give any, you know, recollection of what happened, and she ends up going to like a mental ward where this person, Theo, his name's Theo Faber, he is a psychologist and he ends up being fascinated by what's going on with her, and his goal in life is just to get her to speak. So he basically goes to this psych ward, gets a job there, and he ends up interviewing her and just trying to get her to speak. She doesn't like that a lot of the time, but she does end up kind of trusting him. There's a whole twist at the end, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically it's just a huge thriller. There are some very like detailed, gory chapters, if you will, but overall it's seriously so just twisted and psychological, and the writing style in this book is incredible. So I've already picked up his second book, and I already know I'm gonna love it, but this is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and I'm so excited to read this. I'm struggling because I want to read it next, but it is summer and I've been trying to get into more romance books, so this might just end up being the first thriller type book that I read in the fall. Okay guys, the next book, yep, it's Verity by Colleen Hoover, and I really want to read more of her books because I know that she's an incredible author based on this one. 5 out of 5 stars, like so good. Basically, it's about this girl named Loan Ashley who is a struggling writer. She goes for an interview and it ends up being for this amazing author named Verity Crawford, who actually got in an accident and is unable to finish her series. So she gets hired to literally go to Verity's house and stay there for weeks and go through all of her like information and stuff that she has to finish her series. And she comes across this autobiography that is like super twisted and has a lot of stuff about her husband Jeremy Crawford. She's obviously like talking to Jeremy Crawford because she's living with them at the moment, and she kind of starts to gain feelings for him but doesn't want to tell him about this autobiography just yet. Like, she doesn't really know what to do. And it ends up just being really twisted because, like I said, she ends up gaining feelings for him, so she kind of wants to like have him all for herself, but she's also terrified to be living in this house with someone who has these twisted thoughts like she wrote in her autobiography. So it's all over the place. There's a lot of like family issues in this book too, and the twist at the end is just so good. So I really can't wait to be reading more Colleen Hoover. The only other Colleen Hoover book that I own right now is Layla. I believe this is her newest book, and I was told it's kind of a mixture between romance and thriller, so very excited about it. But yeah, I would recommend any of Colleen Hoover books. I've never heard anything bad about them. The only thing I've heard is she has like a maybe series, and I think it's like maybe someday, maybe now, maybe not, I believe. And there's maybe 1 or 2 of those that aren't as good, I've heard. But otherwise, like every other one of her books, like Ugly Love, Regretting You, November 9, like all of those books are amazing. So I would highly recommend checking out Colleen Hoover, but specifically my 5 out of 5, which is Verity. It's so good. Please go check this out. Okay guys, we have 2 more books left. The next one is The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I was kind of on the edge, like on the fence about whether I was going to give this a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5. So I don't want to say this is absolutely one of my favorite books, but it's definitely like up there, and it's because there was just so much going on in this book. I love that it had to do with a wedding. So basically there's these people who are getting married. The guy who, like the groom, is like this really famous TV guy, and then the wife or the bride is actually like a designer, I believe, or something like that. And so they're both pretty well known. They decide that they want to be different and have their wedding on this like really mysterious, ominous island that people don't really go to. and it's just like super extravagant, and all of the guests literally have to take a boat there. How do I even explain this? Basically, the husband has a lot of guy friends, and they're very much so like a boys club, and then the wife has a best friend who's a male. He brings his wife, and she kind of has, there's like some jealousy because she feels like he likes the wife. I don't know, there's a lot of like really random things, but on top of that, it's just like the entire book, you know that someone has gone missing and someone has died, and you have to figure it out, but it doesn't really tell you until the very end. It's really good. And again, the writing style, I am hoping to read Hunting Party by Lucy Foley because I've heard it's amazing as well, but I would definitely pick this up, especially if you're like a beginner at reading. I thought this was like a super easy, quick read. I was able to binge this one super quick. And the last and most recent book that I've read is The Woman in the Window. Once again, with the movie versus the book is way better. I believe I gave the movie like a 5 or 6 out of 10, but this is definitely a 5 out of 5 star rating for me. I absolutely loved this book. The main character, Anna Fox, is a child psychologist, so she knows... Sorry, I just heard my cat eating and it kind of freaked me out. So Anna Fox is a doctor of child psychology. She used to basically be in like practice, but now there was this really bad accident with her family, and she's now an agoraphobe, meaning that she does not leave her house. She's terrified of really big spaces, aka going outside. So she stays in her house and she basically watches her neighbors all day, which sounds really creepy, but like when you literally can't leave your house, I don't even blame her for wanting to do that. So there's this new family, the Russells, who move in next door, and she is on a lot of medication and drinks when she shouldn't, and she sees something that could or could not be real. It may have happened, it may have not happened, but the police don't really believe that it did because of just how weird she is, I guess. I don't even know how to explain it. But she basically meets the wife or the mom of the Russells, and she comes over, they have a really nice night, and then she sees something about her, and then all of a sudden, I don't even know what I want to say because I don't want to ruin it. Just go read this book, guys. The twist at the end is just amazing. I honestly spoiled it for myself by accident by like Googling this book. Don't do that. I spoiled it, but like it was still really, really good. The movie, on the other hand, I think Amy Adams did an awesome job being Anna Fox, but it just wasn't it. So read this, and if you're gonna watch the movie, just don't judge this book. I'm giving it 5 out of 5, and I do actually know that AJ Finn, I've heard controversy on this author, so I don't know if I'm gonna continue to read his books, but this one specifically was amazing, and I really, really like this cover. So that is my last 5 out of 5 book. Those are all my 5 out of 5 stars. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will probably end up doing another one of these at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, once I hopefully read more books that are 5 out of 5s, because I'm just obsessed with these books. The reasoning for them being my 5 out of 5s is they just blew me away to the point where I was thinking about them days, weeks, months after reading them. Like, I still think of the one, and it's been like almost a whole year. So I just love all those books, could not recommend them more, and I really, really believe you should go check them out. So thank you for watching this video and letting me share my 5 out of 5 stars with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.